So I know it's been a while since I made a video, but I wanted to make a video about the a7R3 because I think it's pretty awesome. So let's talk about it. Who's it for, and who's the A9 for? In my opinion, I think the A9 is still going to be a better wedding photography camera. I also think it's still going to be better for sports if you want that. So that's my opinion. Obviously, the a7R3 can do it, so I don't want to try to say that it can't. But I still think that overall, if you want autofocus, you want a little bit better low light, and for those and the silent shutter, I think those are reasons to get it for wedding photography. If you primarily shoot weddings, I think it's a very good choice. Is it expensive? Yes. However, if you shoot weddings professionally, you're probably making good enough money to justify that price. So, you know, there's that. The a7riii, I really think it's going to be the best overall camera ever. And I know the A99 II exists, okay? However, the limitations of that are the focusing points. They're still centered more than the a7R3. And also the ecosystem, as far as, A-mount lenses are good, okay? But they aren't as good as the G-Master lenses from what I've seen in the ones that I wanted to get, okay? So, to me, the E-mount system is just better because you can use just about every lens that's ever been invented on that camera or on that series of cameras, and it has so much support with adapters and things like that. The E-mount system is just the way to go, in my opinion. Now, if you are, if you haven't bought into the system yet, it's my personal opinion, but I think it's worth that. You lose 2 frames per second on the E-mount system with A7R3 compared to the A99 II, but to me that's worth it. It just is, guys. I don't know what to tell you. But the A99 II was the first to do the high resolution and high frame rate, so we can't give that to the A7R3. That being said, I think the A7R3 is going to be a more popular camera because of the E-mount and because of the versatility of the mount itself. And I think that's what makes it better overall. Because if it's usability, if it's if it's grip, if it's comfort, I think the A99 II is a fantastic camera. Now, if we're comparing it to the D850, they're both great cameras from what I've seen. I've never used the D850, and I'm never gonna say anything bad about it. But it is still a DSLR, and you can make an EVF an optical viewfinder. But you can't make an optical viewfinder an EVF. So to me, the EVF is better because I can change it depending on the situation I'm in. If I'm doing studio work, I can change it, the EVF to mimic an OVF. If you're out and about and you want to change an OVF to an EVF, you can't do it. You can only use live view, and frankly, Nikon's live view is pretty garbage for any kind of autofocus and things like that. Canon's is solid. I had a chance to play with a 6D Mark II yesterday, and it is, the live view is beautiful. It does an excellent job. I really think, I don't know what Canon's waiting around to make a full frame mirrorless camera for. I really think it's because of this, DSLR is better, more reliable type thing. I really think they've banked on that. And I think that if they come out with a full frame mirrorless, that they're basically saying, okay, yeah, we admit, this is important. So I think that's kind of why they haven't, in my personal opinion. Anyway, back to the a7R3 versus the D850. I really think, depending on what you want to shoot, I know some people like OVFs, then, get the D850, whatever. But I still think the a7R3 is going to be a better overall camera because of the video and what they give you in video. Now, some people are going to say, oh, it'll overheat, it'll be less reliable. Well, we'll see, when it comes out. I don't like to speculate. Nobody's talked about it yet, but I can guarantee you that somebody's going to probably try to make it overheat. And if one person has it overheat, everybody in the world is going to start putting it in direct sunlight and trying to get that thing to overheat. And that's the problem with this whole like thing with Sony is I feel bad because everybody just tries to like wreck these cameras after that happens. You don't see people going out and shooting DSLRs out 4K direct sunlight to try to make them overheat. You just don't see that. Okay. Um, but I can attest. I shot a wedding with a guy. I was using my A9. He was shooting video with his Canon 70D. And okay, it's an older generation. That's fine. Whatever. But it was shooting 1080p and it overheated. And so, you know, I mean, to me, it can happen anything from what I've seen. Sony gets a bad rap, but, you know, it'll happen if you put it in direct sunlight. Let's just be honest. It's not a good idea to put your cameras in direct sunlight. If you are, you know, maybe cover them, be behind them. Don't just let the sun beat down on them. Just a thought, okay? But like I said, I think it will be better overall in terms of the usability of the video. You know, you're going to get better autofocus during video, there's no question. And that's one thing where Nikon's lacked forever is just video autofocus. And so in terms of that, I give the edge to the a7R3 based on what I've seen by the A9 and the 6500. So, you know, overall, I think it'll be an amazing camera. And I don't think it won't have any overheating problems with just shooting stills because it's a mechanical shutter. The reason why I think somebody had an issue with it, that one camera guy had an issue with it, is because he was shooting the silent shutter on the A9 in direct sunlight and it overheated. Now that's a lot of readout. It's a lot of, you know, it's a sensor that literally doesn't exist except for on the like 1-inch sensors for Sony right now. That's like the only other people who have that, okay? Now I realize Olympus does something similar, but I haven't seen anybody shooting that out in direct sunlight to do a comparison on like overheating and stuff. To me, the fact that you get full raw images at 20 frames per second is pretty insane with an electronic shutter. And it's anti-distortion, anti-banding, and things like that. You're not going to get that with the a7R3. It's still going to have that distorting if there's really fast movement and things like that. There's still going to be banding. It'll probably have a little bit of a loss in image quality. So consider that when you hear that it can do 10 frames per second mechanical and silent shutter. It's not going to be the same electronic shutter as the A9 because that's a specific sensor designed for speed and electronic shutter. But like I said, I think the A9 will be better overall for weddings based on the speed of the AF, the electronic shutter. It's silent. It is very nice to be able to do that and not have to worry about making noise and being a distraction for the wedding. You know, it really is nice, and that is a nice feature of that camera. So, what do I think? I think it's going to be great. What do you think? Are you going to get it? I'm claiming here, just like Ken Wheeler, the Angry Photographer, I am claiming that Sony's a7R3 will become legendary. And if he can say it about a Nikon camera, I can say it about a Sony camera. And then somebody's going to be like, oh, it'll legendarily overheat. Well, good one. We'll see. But I really think it will become an incredible camera and a more pro camera because of the things that they've included. The bigger battery, dual SD card slots. And if you're watching this, you probably know all the specs and everything because I'm not a very popular YouTuber, and by not very popular, not at all. So, and I have a crappy setup. But I just really like photography and I like talking about it. So if you guys Want to talk about it in the comments? Let me know. I'm happy to talk. But there is just one other thing I want to address. I know Sony gets a lot of hate for the things they do, and I saw a lot of comments like, "Oh, well, it'll like the a7R3 will be great, maybe until it overheats, or because of um, it'll become like not it'll become worthless in 9 months or less because Sony comes out with cameras all the time." These people don't understand Sony because Sony, literally the only time that I can remember that they came out with a camera that was pretty quick in succession was the A6300 to the 6500. The A7 series has been over 2 years for all of their cameras. So the people who say that don't know what they're talking about. And I will say the compact series do usually get an update every year, but that's not what these people are talking about. They're trying to talk about, well, if you buy a professional Sony, it's going to be replaced within 8 months anyway because they don't care about it. And that's BS. And also the fact that they don't do firmware updates, because I can attest to having the A9. They've already come out with 2 firmware updates for it since launch, and firmware updates with the lenses to make them work better with it. So, the fact that these people just don't, they want to rip on Sony, and that's fine. It's whatever, that's great for them. But Sony's trying to make things better, in my opinion, for photographers in ease of use, as far as making that workflow faster. And I really believe that. Do they make small bodies? Yes, they do. If that's not for you, I'm sorry. But in my opinion, it's kind of like getting in a Corvette for the first time. It's weird. It doesn't feel right. But then once you start it up and you get going and you get used to it, it's an incredible experience. I've actually driven a couple Corvettes, but only valet them, so I can't really say. But it's awesome, and Corvettes are my favorite. But like I said, I think as far as ergonomics, because I know people rip on that, I think it's just anything. You have to get used to it. I got really used to the A9, and I think it's a fantastic camera as far as setup now. I actually like it better than the XD2 now. After using both of those since they've come out, I actually like the A9 better. So, call me crazy, but I like it. So, leave me comments. Let's talk about photography. Thanks, bye.